A good eye for composition is one of the things that elevates the work of photographers above the rest. Now, nothing gets more excited if you learn a new trick or tip that will help you and your images more inspiring. But the small problem is, it takes some time for this to master and execute correctly. You soon realize that it takes a couple more tries, or more than a couple of tries, to master a new technique to become a better photographer. But still, you can use this as an exercise to help you improve your composition skills. Just the way like the piano players execute and practice their skills. So here are some exercises that will help you improve your eye for composition. Welcome to Digital Photographer. I think that you've most probably heard of rule of thirds, right? Where you divide your frame, 3 horizontal and vertical, like a tic-tac-toe board, and place your subject on the intersection line. As if that it is the only rule for composition. Well, to be fair though, the rule of thirds is a good go-to tool when it comes to situations that you're unsure how to put things in your frame. Well, fear not, because there are many composition techniques that you can use to improve your photography. There's a lot of good patterns here in this area. You have the blocks, and then you have this like slanted road up here. Not road, but slanted pathway, walkway towards the up. So it makes a good image. Lenses have a big influence on the look of a photo. The best way to learn exactly what effect they have is to spend time using just one lens. Ideally, it would be a prime lens, but if you have a zoom, you can use a piece of tape to fix the lens to one focal length. The use of a single focal length helps you to master its characteristics. Now, I personally prefer a 35mm or a 50mm. Because number one, if you have a prime lens like this one, number one, it's cheap. Number two, it is fast, because like this one, this is 1.4. And the normal nifty 50 is like 1.8. Sometimes it's 1.2, 1.4. But mastering one lens helps you to focus more on your photography compared if you change lens all the time. You go wide, you go zoom. While it is okay for some time, it won't master you, and it won't get you very familiar with just one lens. So I'm waiting for someone here. I personally prefer using wider angle lenses like a 35mm because it helps me fit more into the frame. They are lenses of inclusion. In the Philippines, there are a lot of things happening around. You can get more of the background in the photo with a wide angle lens. Close one! Color is such a very powerful element that usually dominates the photos. But sometimes, it becomes more difficult to see the underlying building blocks of composition like texture, lines, patterns, because you are distracted by color. Now take color away and this becomes easier to see. And once you are aware of them, you can use it to improve your composition skills. We are on the streets today to exercise our eyes towards good composition. Earlier, we did show you that using one lens helps you to focus on your subject more rather than gear, and shooting in monochrome helps you to see differently. Close one! It is natural to shoot using the eye level, right? So you see the perspective of a human. But did you know that changing your viewpoint makes a huge difference on the visual impact? You know, by doing so, you immediately change the perspective of some familiar subjects. For example, we're here on top of the footbridge. It's normal to shoot that traffic enforcer over there on the eye level. But using like this one, this is called a bird's eye view. Immediately see, change the perspective. Now I can see patterns. I can see a lot of things going on. So by just changing your perspective or changing your viewpoint, rather, can immediately give a different perspective towards shooting. Shooting in the worm's eye view or the bird's eye view gives you a different look to what you normally see. For beginners out there, a bird's eye view is an angle shot with your camera facing down, while the worm's eye view is an angle in which your camera faces up. But I just changed my perspective, started there from the top, and I'm having different images. So see, just by moving position, you can improve your eye for your composition. See? Different perspective. Actually, when you're here on top of a footbridge, you can use some camera functions, new camera functions, like you can do miniature ones. That's very familiar on new cameras. You select the miniature one, and it seems that you're having an output of like a real miniature done of an artist. So let's try to look for some stuff here. Nothing really. Just by looking around and moving here. Patterns can be one of the most intriguing or arresting things to do with your camera. You know, patterns can be straight, can be diagonal, they can be smooth, they can be loud as drum beat, they can lull you, they can lure you. But looking at patterns, they are good exercise for you to improve your composition. There are natural patterns that are great to shoot, and there are man-made objects that accentuate balance. It is very gratifying to photograph a perfectly uniform scene. The symmetry brings order to the scene and gives a sense of peace and harmony to your image. Old building, I want to shoot that, but I want to look at good framing. And where's the good possibility? Hey, hold on. Well, more exercises to try after these few messages. We'll be right back in a few moments. Meanwhile, check out our photos of the week. According to Pastor Leo Avendaño, this is the good spot from the, we call this the Lego building. They look like Lego blocks, white and blue Lego blocks. So I hope there's no policeman right here to catch us. You know, you'll never lose patterns when you're here in the metro. A lot of patterns. And also there are a lot of policemen who are watching us because we don't have permit to shoot.
Oh, para malapit.
We will try our best to look for patterns without catching the eyes of the good policemen. Nice. Our feet brought us here in Edsa Ortigas going to shop, looking for our next exercise, which is looking for lines. Now, lines, just like patterns, they can be smooth, they can be diagonal, straight, horizontal, or vertical. And they are a good part of your exercise on improving your eye for composition. I suggest if you're looking for lines, look for leading lines. Lines that draw the eyes of your viewers to your images. So as you can see here on the frame, it's in black and white. There's a line leading to that center, and this line right here leads to the center. So it converges from the end of the frame, the edges of the frame, towards in the middle. So leading lines are good exercise for improving your composition. You see here on my shots, same location, but my perspective here, my lines go from the upper left of the frame going to the lower right of the frame. Oh, there's someone over there. Just putting a human element on my photo. Oh, there's one more. Wait for it. It is often tempting to put more detail into a frame to show more about what was happening, but this can lead to confusion. The important maxim to remember is this: less is more. Another good thing for exercising your eye for composition is to keep in tight. You know, it's a busy Metro Manila and there's a lot of things to see. But simplifying your subject or simplifying your composition sometimes makes a huge difference. We all know that the art of simplifying an image is not easy, but if done correctly, can result into a far more dramatic photo. So in case that you're in a situation that it's hard to compose or you have more than one center of interest, try these following steps. Number one, get in as close as possible to your subject. Number two, just simplify your composition. Number three, you avoid distracting colors or objects in the background. And number four, use shallow depth of field. Digital photographer would like to thank Panasonic Video Philippines, Steady Tracker Incorporated, Rode Microphones, Francis M. Clothing Company, there are always stories in shadows. You know, they are ethereal, they're mystical, they're transient. Now, another good form of exercise is to incorporate shadows into your image or shoot only shadows, because they always tell an intriguing story but results in a captivating image. Shadows can create either an abstract or an editorial story. They say that it is the extension of humanity. But how to best shoot with shadows? So when you shoot shadows, I suggest you shoot either after sunrise or before sunset. Or like for example, in our case, the time now is around 6 p.m. So what I did is, I looked for a bright spotlight near the road. You see like there are good shadows here playing when the people cross. I can't stand because it's night, but that's a technique if you're shooting shadows at night. Look for a bright light, bright street light. So shoot again. When I shoot with shadows as my main subject, I use new angles, like the previously learned bird's eye view or the worm's eye view, or if daylight, I face the sun. In this case, I am facing the light. I always find time to look for new angles. Negative space can give your photo a totally different atmosphere compared to the other photograph of the same subject. Now keep this in mind. The absence of content doesn't mean the absence of interest. So negative space is one of a good exercise to improve your eye for composition. Negative space specifically adds interest as it places a stronger emphasis on the subject and it can evoke emotions. Composition and the rules around it are flexible. There really is no right way or wrong way to compose an image, but there are better ways to do so. Some techniques even can make an ordinary snapshot into a great photo. What's important is you experiment with these techniques. You know, try them, combine them as much as possible on different subject matter. But the most important thing is you must know how to master them. Know what works for you and go from there. Now, this will not only improve your eye for composition, but actually improve your ability to see an image in a scene. So thank you for joining us today. My name is Nigel Ian Laksamana, and you are watching Digital Photographer.